Hey, how's it going? It's True to Life TV kicking in once again. Here we have the topic of what to do when dealing with selfish behavior. So, when dealing with selfish behavior, and that could be in a partnership, friendship, relationship, etc. You have to understand two things. One, where that unselfish behavior is coming from, and two, will that unselfish behavior, turn into a more unselfish behavior? And of course, if it doesn't, then you have to know, you have to know whether it be beneficial for you to depart. Because here's the thing: when dealing with selfish behavior, you would have to put in more work than you may need to. And if it's not beneficial enough, for the future of your outcome, then how you would, you should break ties. So, one, what does selfish behavior look like? Selfish behavior is looking at things from only one's perspective, one's own perspective, and not looking at it through the lenses of the other person's perspective. Only wanting to accomplish what that person wants accomplished, with no mutual benefit. So you got to be able to decipher whenever you see that, and not prolong the situation, because at the end of the day, if you see that, if you see behavior that is, that will continue to be the same behavior, then, it would be best for you to, to break the ties and, continue to move on with your life. So, spot the signs of selfish behavior, seeing if you're able to, work with that selfish behavior by seeing if that person will be able to grow and, become more interdependent, what I like to call it. And, if that person if you can see that person or that situation, will be able to become interdependent, then, it would be good for it would be good for both parties. But, and, that's what creates good relationships. That's what creates good partnerships. All things of that nature. Sky's the limit. Now, if you see that person doesn't, or is not willing to, because, each person, unless they have certain mental incapacities or incapabilities, are able to, grow their mental, and able to, and would able to become unselfish if they are selfish. But that's only if they're willing to and if they're wanting to. Those are the key words: if they're willing to and if they want to. Because we are in America, and we are free to act and live the way we want to, as long as it's under legal terms. But, you have to be willing and wanting to create a character change, what I like to call it. So, if that person's willing to create a character change, then you will have a better interdependence between both parties. But as I say again, if you spot the selfish behavior continues, then you know see to it that you do not that you don't prolong things, because you want to life is life is always something's always going on in life, and life moves quick. So you want to make sure that that at least that you want to create a situation that can be built up for not only for yourself, but also for those who are around you. And if not, then continue investing in yourself, building up yourself, your character, continuing to grow, and continue creating those shifts in your life, because you don't want to hinder your self development just because someone else has doesn't want to work on their character flaws. Continue working on your character flaws, and you'll attract other individuals who are working on the same character flaws, or has developed those character flaws. And make sure that you learn from that. That's the point of life. Learn from past situations. Live and learn in present situations, and utilize those for future situations. So yeah, that's what it's about. Like I said, this is True to Life TV kicking in. That was on the topic of selfish behavior, and how to spot that by one not being interdependent with you. One is only focused on their views and their lenses for themselves, and does not want to practice going back to when we was younger, sharing their toys, sharing their toys with their friends. They want to they want to keep the toys for themselves. So and don't want to understand the other person's perspective of their actions possibly is not good for the other individual. They only looking at what's good for themselves, and and not thinking about the long-term benefits of being unselfish, or the long-term benefit, or the long-term fallacy of being selfish. So once you spot those signs of selfish behavior, and make sure when it's time to depart from selfish behavior, and and even for yourself, spot the signs in yourself of selfish behavior, and know how to work on that character flaw, because we are human, we all have flaws, but the thing is with human civilization, we won't work on those character flaws. That's what this life's about. Is continue to grow. While we on earth, we want to make sure that we are continuing to grow and progress as much as we are able to, as much as we can, much as we are willing to, as much as we are wanting to. Continue to grow, continue to progress, continue to work on those character flaws, and, see to it that we become interdependent amongst each other. That's how we able to build up more amongst ourselves. And you'll see that you'll see that things become more things become more better amongst situations that'll be beneficial for a lot of different parties. But yeah, so it's a wrap for today. I catch y'all next time. I'm out.